Alright, so if you saw my video of John K's Cans Without Labels last night, you'll know that it actually shot up in popularity pretty well for a channel as small as mine. Not insanely popular, but for a channel of my size, it was pretty amazing there. It's over 250 views right now, and I'm very grateful for that. People were actually tuning into the video or whatnot. But as one person by the name of CMTV pointed out in that video, I seem to talk more about John K himself more than the short. And after watching it a few times, I'm like, yeah, that probably wasn't the best thing to do. But keep in mind, it was a very last-minute kind of video where I just got done watching the short. I didn't really have time to think through what I actually wanted to say in the video. So I'm very sorry if anybody got the wrong idea there. It's like, I didn't want to have to do much of bashing John K or whatever, but I just didn't know what else to say about it, man. It's just like, the only thing I had to say on my mind was all the past stuff John K did. But even though he kind of deserves it, it wasn't really the right thing to do, because it was a review about the short, not John K himself, and I feel like I did myself wrong there, so I'm going to try and rectify that in this video here. Call this an addendum, if you will. I was going to do like a reaction to the short, like watch it with you guys here and critique it along there, but since John apparently pulled the short from YouTube and such, I can't really record it there. So I have the short here on my phone from the site Vidly, and show you I ain't lying. There's the opening George Liquor thing right there. So I'm going to be watching certain clips from this. Well, I'm going to be watching it in its entirety, but I'm going to go over certain clips of it that I find are interesting here, and I'm going to talk about the overall quality of it, and not really focus on John K himself, because the review is meant to be more about the short than him. So let's just go on ahead and watch this here. And here's a little bit of a blow here. It says, and all my wonderful donors on Kickstarter. Yeah, I'm pretty sure your donors feel pretty happy about waiting 7 years for a low-quality project here. Very happy, John. Now, as you see here, in this shot, looks like George has got his big old nose and whatnot. You know, he's got his big dopey grin in his nose and such. But as you play the short itself, it sort of shrinks a bit. Feels kind of weird there. And yeah, you do see right here the problem here. You see Ernie and Slab and such, like right here. And you notice the 3D backgrounds it has. The 3D backgrounds don't really look natural enough to fit along with the scene there. It looks like they just made the backgrounds first and they just tacked Ernie and Slab in there, which I guess that's kind of what animation is supposed to do, but you kind of make it look pleasing, man. It's like, there's not really much pleasing about obvious 3D backgrounds with slapped on like 2D hand-drawn characters. It just doesn't blend well together with what he's doing here. And as you see here, you see George holding the can and such. You can obviously see it's just a 3D can, and there's not really anything above him there. But it's like there's not really anything drawn there. It's just like a modeled 3D can. It's just, I'm sorry I'm harping about that so much, but it's like, it's such a glaring issue in the short that none of the 3D stuff blends with the hand-drawn stuff. Even with Jim Smith doing a lot of the storyboards and such. It just doesn't seem right. And there's like weird zoom shots in this as well, where it's like... let me put it back for you here. So like you see this going on right here. Watch how it like weirdly zooms out and such. See that? Like, why is the camera zooming in that much? And also, in this shot here, it looks like George is phasing through the table. Like, the table is supposed to be like this, you know? It's supposed to be like a rectangular shape and whatnot. So if that's how it is, then how the hell is he able to go through right in front of them? Like, it literally looks like he's phasing through the table. Like, they didn't figure that part out yet. Let me play this scene right here. Where it's like, let's play this all in its entirety here. How it's going. Like, nothing can stay still. I understand John's trying to go for like a highly exaggerated style, but the way he's doing it here just feels completely uncomfortable to look at here. And the reason I'm having this quiet and such, because I'm trying to avoid copyright and such for the sounds. Like, what is with this camera movement? And again, the uncanny CG backgrounds. There's just... It's hard to know what exactly to say about this, because there's a lot of things going wrong with it. And there are times as well when characters are just sliding on the ground. That's the reason the CG background can't work, is because it's like, when you try to do that, and try to add wacky 2D animation on top of that, it looks like the characters are just sliding on the ground, you know? It's not, they don't feel like they belong in that world. They feel like they're just visiting there and they don't know what the fuck to do. So they're just like sliding on the ground and such. They're not actually walking there. Like, there's no resistance to any movements they have here. And also, the part where Cigarettes the Cat comes in, there's like whimsical sounds being played when he finds out what an ass is used for. Where he's like, so this is what an ass is for, but there's no like there's no visuals to go along with it. It's just him sitting there, being amazed and such. It's like, if you want us to believe that he's actually amazed by it, you know, amp it up a little bit. You've amped up every other fucking thing in this short. Why not do that where it actually matters? Like showing a character's emotion and such, of like a new thing that's coming around with him. Why is that the one thing you decided to leave out? And this shot here with cigarettes, there's something wrong with here. Notice that it goes by and such, and he just sort of like tilts. Why the fuck is he tilted like that? Like, the background's all slanted and such, cigarettes is like a 45-degree angle. It seems very unbalanced with what direction it wants to go with its scenery. Like, specifically with all the characters and such. There's, like I said, there's weird zooms. Like, this shot looks fine here. That's actually a stable camera shot there. But there are more shots than not that actually just manipulate the zoom-ins and whatnot. I don't know what the hell is going on with John's head, and I don't really want to know, but, like, to claim that he knows a lot about animation, you gotta know that you're fucking up somewhere, man. And here in this scene, we see Donald Bastard, the not-so-obvious but very obvious Donald Duck parody, where it's like, he just comes out of nowhere just for plot convenience. Like, just to move the story forward and such, and it's just... It's a very blatant ripoff of Donald Duck. He's not even trying to hide it. He even called him Donald, for fuck's sake. Like, you seriously couldn't think of another name for the duck other than Donald Bastard just to prove your hatred for Disney? Like, I'm not the biggest fan of Disney either, but at least I would think of clever names to call other characters aside from just fucking... just calling them their actual names and just saying Donald Bastard. Like, that's not a funny joke, man. Like, that's not funny in the slightest. Just calling him Donald Bastard isn't funny in and of itself. And as soon as Donald Bastard eats the face, Ernie and Slabs say, touch tips. There's no way around that. You can't fucking defend that. Like, why would they say touch tips? Like, honestly, I don't fucking... And what most people say at the end here, where George Licker's done taking a shit, is that he doesn't sound like Mike Pataki. He sounds more like John Kay, because people would assume that John Kay re-recorded some of Mike Pataki's lines in order to fit along with here, but I don't know why he didn't just keep the original lines. Did he think that it wasn't going to work well enough or something? Because I think Mike Pataki could have carried the whole thing through if he were just in there the whole time, but I don't know, for some reason they just felt like John just felt like he should re-record Mike's lines, even though this is in memoriam to him, since he passed away. But, what do I know, man? Maybe he's got a different thing of looking at memorials and such. In this part here, why is there a focus on George's ass? Why is there a big focus on that? Okay, just take a listen.
I'll be goddamn.
That don't sound like Mike Pataki.
You did it! Oh, you ate the face!
It's like... Here's how he sounds at the beginning here.
This one's got a gold lid.
You obviously saw that there, but near the end of it, just sounds like John Kay and such.
Damn! You did it! Oh, you ate the face!
Like, that does not sound like Mike Pataki at the end there. So I think he may very well have recorded like over Mike Pataki's lines and just got rid of them. Which is pretty disrespectful, honestly, like I mentioned. That it was actually in memoriam to Mike Pataki. So, I don't know why you want to re-record over his lines. A guy that he obviously respected. Fuck it. And then the short just ends there. But it's not over yet. Apparently, there is an actual advertisement for a real Detroit, like, food truck called Shimmy Shack. Why that's there, I have no rightly idea. Maybe they sponsored him. Don't know why they would. John doesn't live in Detroit. Like, fucking... Like, why this? Why this obscure of thing here? And who the fuck are Bruce and Karen Ryan? And why is this guy naked? I don't understand. And then it seems like he couldn't fill up the episode, so he just added in random shit at the end of it to, like, fill out the time. So that was Cans Without Labels. The few points I want to bring up, that I want to bring up again, to refresh our brains a bit, is that the CG backgrounds do not blend well with the 2D animated characters. It just looks like they pasted the characters on the backgrounds and didn't really figure out how to integrate them into the short. Or John did it anyway. Like, whenever they pick stuff up in the CG background, it just looks like it's floating up there with their hands just like this here, and you just see the object just pasted above their hand. Like, there's no easing to animation in this. It's like, there's no immersion to be had with it. And again, the Mike Pataki lines were apparently re-recorded by John, and he sort of like blended the two together at some points. At certain parts, you could tell that he sort of like took two takes and cut them together. He didn't even try to ease them in. It's just sort of like he used like WavePad Sound Editor or something, which is what I use. I have an excuse, man. I'm a beginner to this. I'm just figuring out how to do sound editing stuff, so I can get away with that. But with John being a professional, he should be able to learn how to cut audio properly. And apparently he does not know how to do that here. There was an obvious Donald Duck ripoff that he didn't even bother trying to rename. He just named him Donald Bastard, as if that was an actual joke. Like, I get he doesn't like Disney, you know. Most people don't necessarily like Disney, you know, for their nonsense of, like, the public domain and whatnot. We get that. Disney doesn't have the cleanest record, and you don't necessarily like Disney. I'm not a big fan of Disney either. I only like a few films from them. But even still, if I were making a short like this, well, not exactly like this, but like an online cartoon of any sorts, and I was trying to have like cameos of other characters and whatnot, or parodies, I would think of clever names and just renaming them the same thing and just switching their last name out with the word bastard or something. It just doesn't make any sense. Why would you just blatantly put a Donald Duck ripoff in your cartoon and just call him by his same name and just switch out his last name? It just doesn't make sense to add that in there. And overall, the production design of it just does not feel natural, you know. Like I said, it's like all the things going on with it. The weird camera zooms, the character tilts that make no sense to any kind of logic. It's like, John seems to not focus things in reality. He seems to be in his own little world of like craziness and whatnot, that he think anything he puts on there will work. And and obviously nothing works here. Like, he doesn't fully understand how to blend things together. He doesn't understand the concept of timing or like immersion or like anything above the 12 rules of animation, where where you have to keep the audience interested and such. The pacing was slow, the backgrounds were abysmal, the camera was just way too fucking shaky at times. It's like, they're just sort of like going like this, and then just, it wouldn't stay still for more than like 2 seconds. And the disappointing part still is that $136,000 went into this project. And this is the best we get. This is the only quality project we can have out of this man who's just a general asshole here. He just doesn't seem to follow any sort of realistic backgrounds and such. He wants everything to be crazy here. Well, you know a guy who actually knows how to do that, but he can also keep things fairly realistic? Ralph Bakshi, the guy he actually used to work for. Like, it seems he didn't really learn anything from him. He just admired his work and whatnot, and he just focused more on the crazy side and not actually grounding characters in reality. So, if you want to watch a crazy animator who actually knows what the fuck he's doing, watch some Ralph Bakshi films. Like, Bakshi's films are some of the craziest shit you can actually imagine, but they're actually fun to watch in their own rights. Like Coonskin, Fritz the Cat, Wizards, Fire and Ice, all those sorts of things there. They're very low budget, I'll say that much. Like, they did not have the highest budget because they weren't exactly Hollywood's taste, but, you know, they're still fun to watch. You know, I'd highly recommend, like, going on Amazon, buying up the DVDs, or just going on Amazon Prime Video or whatever you want to do. It's, just buy Bakshi's work, and don't buy anything else from John K, because he obviously does not fully understand animation anymore. I'm not sure he even did to begin with. But yes, this is actually the review that I wanted to do in the first place, where I was actually critiquing the short on itself, and not solely on John. And again, I wanted to do this as like a reaction kind of video, where we actually watch the short on YouTube or whatever. But unfortunately, John copyright claimed the short being placed on there by Mr. Roger Berman, who was the one who originally posted it, and now we can't see it on there. But I will say it's on Vidly right now, so unless that gets taken down, I'll leave a link to the Vidly link there, so you guys can check it out there. But yeah, hopefully this gets across a better picture of what I actually felt about the cartoon itself, instead of just like mindlessly bashing on John. I'm still very sorry about how that went down there. I really wanted to talk more about the cartoon, but I don't know, it was just very late at night and I couldn't really think properly of it, so hopefully this video satiates your tastes better. And if you guys actually want me to take in suggestions for reviews of certain things of media, there's actually one film I have here that I've wanted to talk about for a while, Slaughterhouse of the Rising Sun. I just bought this, I think about a month ago, back in May, and I wanted to talk about this because pretty much nobody on YouTube's discussed it. There's little to no reviews of it on this website here, and I wanted to actually show it off to people here instead of just like going for typical Hollywood stuff, because anybody can talk about the Emoji Movie or like all the Disney films or whatever the fuck, but I want to try and go for more out there stuff. So anything, not that I wouldn't want to do the Hollywood stuff, but I think that's more susceptible to copyright claims, so I'm going to try and keep that to a minimum. Not saying I won't do them at all, but just like to a minimum and such. And I'll also be posting my reviews to Vlair.tv, so I'll leave that in the description as well, and you guys can just check it out there. And if you actually like some of the videos that I do here, be sure to subscribe today, and keep in touch with any kind of videos I come out with next. But anyway, thank you all for tuning in, and I'll see you in the next video I decide to make. Bye-bye for now.